And Kate Huffman joins us today. How are you, Kate?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, we're excited. So, Kate is performing her solo show at the Providence Improv Guild Friday and Saturday at 8 o'clock. It's called I'm Too Fat for the Show. Tickets are on sale, and both shows start at 8 o'clock. So, yeah. Kate, your show has gotten great reviews, and you've done a lot of work. So, you've had an extensive career working in theater and television and film. You've written for network shows, well-known shows, fresh off the boat.
No. I have not written for network shows. I appeared on them.
You appeared in these shows.
Yes.
Well, you've also written as well.
I've written, yes, just not for a network television show yet.
Yet.
But yeah, I acted in those shows.
In some shows, Fresh Off the Boat and Castle. So we'll talk about those experiences in a little bit. But let's talk about this solo show that you'll be pretty much pouring your heart and soul into.
Correct.
And you've taken this show on the road. Talk to us a little bit about what audience can expect from you.
Yeah, well, it's a sketch comedy-based solo show, so you can expect to laugh a whole lot. And then there are some moments of more storytelling honesty that might get you right there. So it's on 20 years of OCD, eating disorders, and body dysmorphia, but really anybody with any kind of neurotic thinking or negative self-talk relates to it very strongly. And it was quite a journey writing it. I didn't really want to do it. I was just sort of like, what's with this mess of my life? And I was trying to find some meaning and purpose out of it, and I thought, well, all I can really do is just kind of share my story and see if it matters to people. And the really incredible thing is that it has. Every city I've gone to really seems to resonate with people and also make them laugh. So it's been really wonderful. Yeah.
Do you feel like this outlet, comedy, and expressing yourself and your feelings and your thought, do you feel like it's kind of almost a form of therapy for yourself and for the audience?
I'll have to say, yes, for the audience, which is wonderful. People come up to me and thank me profusely, which is just, humbling in the moment, and then later like, okay, I did it. But for myself, I had not at all expected the level of self-acceptance that I gained from doing it. Writing it was torture because I really didn't. I never talked about any of this stuff for 20 years because of shame and all the reasons we don't share what's going on with ourselves. So writing it, I would be crying at my computer and looking. When you look at it on a screen, you're like, this is such a stupid way to live your life. Why do I keep doing this? But once I was able to share it with people and see how much people resonated with it, and we all just have our story, it was sort of like, yeah, okay, I like me, I can live with me, but that was a side effect that I didn't know. I did not at all expect.
So it's my understanding that you are performing this show using multimedia and telling it through 18 perspectives, through characters.
Yeah.
How are you performing the show?
Okay, so I do a lot of sketch comedy in Los Angeles at UCBI West, places like that, and so character work is a lot of what I do. And I feel like to reach people, to get the message across, you got to get people laughing and let their guard down. So I tackle it from a whole bunch of different angles, and then the multimedia element of it is, so my eating disorder, OCD, is kind of embodied in another version of myself who lives on the screen. So the majority of the show is me interacting with the screen. That's where my antagonist lives.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a Hollywood producer. There's a lot of #MeToo elements going on with that guy. I have a neurologist who kind of explains how when you're younger, the messages start, tying these synapses together that we can't defeat in our adulthood. I have an ex-boyfriend. Yeah, lots of big, fun characters.
I feel like this is super relevant in what's happening just in today's culture and society, and just being more self-aware. And so kind of exploring this issue is super interesting to me. Talk to me a little bit about how, and we kind of explored that issue on the therapeutic aspect for both you and for the audience, but talk to me about what it's like just from the performance aspect. That has to be, I would think, pretty tiring to do this day in and day out, and pouring yourself into 18 different elements, different characters, different personas. That, to me, that seems physically exhausting. But it also has to be kind of exciting at the same time.
It is an exhausting show, I will say. It is a very exhausting show. I love doing it, especially when the audience is there with me. You know, I went to Dublin, like I just did Hartford, and the audience was very raucous with me, and then I'm like, all right, cool, we're doing this. All right, here we go, guys. You want to know some more messed up stuff? Here we go.
Okay, let me throw this one in.
Yeah, get ready. But like Dublin, for instance, the first night especially was very quiet. And that's a tougher, I did the Hollywood Fringe Festival, and I kind of learned from the quiet audience, and I've been a performer for 13 years, so I know. But
figure out how to work it out.
Yeah, but at this, like, you still become sort of like, oh God, they're hating this, and I'm so sorry I made you sit through this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get through this as quickly as possible. But like, for instance, so in Dublin, immediately afterwards, like, strangers were like, can I just hug you? So you kind of learn they're there with you, even if the reaction is subdued. You just have to kind of trust the material and keep pushing through it. You know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And I'm also kind of curious too, if you do have these OCD tendencies, as a performer, as a comedian, as a writer, then how do you work yourself through that? Try not to obsess on how the audience is reacting. Do you just have to trust yourself?
You do. It's not like it's not going to be in the back of your head. But so the first time I had a really, really quiet audience, I remember feeling like I was just apologizing through the second half of the show, and I got backstage and was like, oh, you're worthless. And again, the response was still very, very extremely positive. Strangers were very touched, etc. And I learned a very good lesson from that of like, somebody's out there being affected, so I have to continue to give it my all, just do the normal acting things of portraying your objectives and your needs and your wants, and just give it that sincerity and try. I don't know, yeah, you just have to learn to shut off that element of your brain.
Which can be extremely difficult for people, especially if this is something that you've been battling. This has been 20 years of your life that you put into the show, right? You wrapped the audience through 20 years.
20 years of the eating disorder element of it. I had undiagnosed OCD prior to that, and the whole thing is like, OCD, I think all eating disorders are different. Everybody's journey is different 100%, but I think in many, many ways, eating disorders fall under a category of OCD, because long past when you realize that it's illogical behavior, you just still have to continue doing it, or the anxiety rises up. That's like the gist of OCD. And so I had those elements prior to that, but then once the eating disorder elements were kind of introduced into my personality, that really kind of took the bulk of that part of my brain. I still do weird things with numbers a lot, but in a weird way, that's kind of just dominated my particular flavor of OCD.
Oh yeah, I hear you. I'm just thinking of like, oh, how many steps did it take me to walk from my car to the building? And
oh, cool, you count your steps.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right. Like, how many? Yeah. So
that's really interesting, because doing this show has
like,
been.
How many steps did I?
Yeah. No, I'm always counting my steps, and my mom, after seeing the show, family seeing the show was a trip, but
numbers are fun.
Numbers are something. She was like, I always count my steps. I'm always like, I always have to tell myself, stop counting, Mary, stop counting. Like when she's playing tennis. And I was like, I never knew that about you. This tells me many things.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, well, you know.
Thanks to everyone. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the other work that you've done, because you're based in LA now. Mm-hmm. We mentioned that you're a writer, an actor, also you're doing stand-up comedy. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into this, because people might think that, that this is just the solo show, but you have you have a history. You've been at this for a long time. How did you get into doing comedy? How did you get into acting?
Okay, well, I was always going to be an actor from when I was little, which is a part of how the eating disorder set in, because I was growing up in the 90s and saw the only one body type, and I was a very go-getter, precocious person, and was like, I gotta make my body look like that because I want a career in acting. So I always knew I was gonna be an actor. I went to acting school for college, got my BFA in acting as a conservatory setting. I went straight to LA, and I didn't really do comedy at all. I didn't really think I was funny in college. I was a very serious student. I did lots of theater, and I continued to do lots of theater. I've had some cool opportunities at some of the bigger theaters in Los Angeles. Booked work here and there on the occasional film or television show, and started getting into comedy probably somewhere between 8 and 10 years ago, I don't know, and started at stand-up, then started doing improv, did tons of improv training, which just kind of translated itself into sketch, yeah, I don't know, I just have gotten to do all kinds of stuff with comedy. I still do, dramatic acting as well. I've gone to San Francisco Sketch Fest, Austin Sketch Fest. I don't know. I've just, Did that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, what do you like about comedy? What do you like about being up on stage and doing, whether it's improv or writing and performing your sketches? What do you like about that? What keeps you going back to that?
Yeah, good question. Well, all your questions are good. But, so in LA, sorry. So, it's a really tough business, super hard, and you go through some really, really hard lows of, maybe your agents drop you and you lose your day job and you can't make ends meet and or you're doing great and you're testing for pilots and then you don't get them and so in those low points, after especially 8 years or 10 years, you start questioning why I only get to live once, why I do this. I'm extremely smart, I could go do anything, right? I'm smart. But I kind of fall back to the initial notion of I believe that, and it may sound pretentious, but I do believe that you can be of service through art. I think there's storytelling is extremely powerful. Children learn through storytelling. We learn through the films and stories that we tell. And even just dumb comedy is a service, right? Because people are having a terrible day, they can go relax and watch some comedy. Even if the comedians up there don't think that they're oh, I'm doing everybody a favor. They are, So I guess that's just sort of why I love it and why I can live with myself continuing to pursue it, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. And trust me, if you believe that storytelling and performance and art is truly powerful, then you are in the right place because you're in the creative capital. So you will be supported here. Yep, you are in the right place, girlfriend. I'll tell you that.
I've never heard that term. Someone said it to me, and I've only been here a couple days, but I really do love this city.
Good.
It's really cool.
Good.
From what I've been exploring.
We're glad to have you here, and we're excited for not only your performance, but you're hosting a class as well. Which I think is really neat. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, sure.
The Providence Improv Guild is hosting your shows. You have 2 shows. Friday night and Saturday night. Those start at 8 o'clock. But you're also holding this class on pretty much how to
create
your own solo show.
Yeah,
your solo show, which I think is so cool. And personally, I think that would be terrifying to go up on stage by myself and perform something that you wrote. It's all you.
Yeah.
I think that would be terrifying. But you're going to be teaching people kind of the skills to get through it. So talk to us a little bit about that and what you're going to be doing.
Oh, sure. Well, because I am teaching it at a comedy school, I've taught it at a couple other comedy schools. Most of my students are going to have a foundation in improv comedy and sketch comedy, and probably have some sort of experience with writing sketches. And so it's just sort of the skills to translate that into a story on your own. How to make a character monologue have the same kind of game, meaning the game of a scene is sort of what's the unusual thing that we can heighten and play with, and how can you do that by yourself and create a straight man off stage. And then I'll also I will discuss those elements of how to get through the scary moments, how to convince yourself you're not just writing garbage. Because there will be many times when you're going to look and just go, why would anyone care about this? This is just my garbage. No one needs to hear it. And trying to get back to the place of you know what? You can decide later if it's garbage. Right now, you just got to keep writing it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's excellent. Well, I'm so excited to talk about that. And I feel like there are so many classics solo shows,
Very
and
much.
whether they are you practicing in your living room or they are on Broadway. I mean, there are so many,
Yeah.
and everything in between. So again, we're excited to have you here. Kate Huffman, her show again is at the Providence Improv Guild. I'm Too Fat for the Show. Tickets are on sale Friday and Saturday at Providence Improv Guild. Tickets are $15, and then of course, if you want, you can check out her class as well, which is also at the Pig. We love them. They're our friends here.
We do love them. They are so
We do.
awesome over there. I love them.
Yeah, we do love them. So thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Kate.
you,
Appreciate it.
really.
Kate Nagel kicks off things here, news and politics, starting at 4 o'clock, so just around the corner. Thank you so much for joining us here, and I will see you.